Hi, I'm Adam Segal, and thank you for joining us. It's hard to believe, but it's been a full year since we've been at work, and many of us will be returning back to the workplace very soon. Now, don't fret. Right now, about 80% of executives across the globe are very actively planning the return to work. And for most people, that will be a hybrid return, which will mean a mixture of being in the office and being at home. But that will be an adjustment. We've all gotten used to the creature comforts of working at home, working from bed, wearing attire that wouldn't quite get past the front doors at most corporate headquarters. So as we return to the office, it will be an adjustment that we have to prepare for, and that's what we'll be discussing today with our experts. I'm very pleased to be joined by Chris Swan, an executive search consultant and the managing director of TransSearch International, and Vanessa Ruda, an organizational psychologist and senior partner with RHR International. One of the most alluring aspects of remote work is flexibility. People really enjoy not being boxed in by a 9 to 5 schedule, having to commute down to an office, being able to dash off for a walk or a break when they need it. So, as employees return to the office in some capacity, what advice do you have for organizations to help them retain some of that flexibility?
Well, I think flexibility is the operative word. And I think organizations really do have to adopt a flexible mindset that is, somewhere between all or nothing. The idea that people are going to be home forever and never come into an office is probably not realistic. But I also think for many organizations, not all, but for many, gone are the days of 9 to 5, everybody's there every day. Because I think what we've learned through this kind of unintentional experiment that we've all been in is that, in fact, people can be very productive from a variety of places. And for some people, it's worked extremely well. They love working from home. For other people, they can't wait to get back into the office for a variety of reasons. What we've learned is there's a big continuum, and people have a comfort level at different points. And so I think leaders and organizations have to be really flexible around that and understand that, what is one person's joy might be somebody else's pain point, and vice versa. And so when we think about, back to office and really attracting and keeping good talent, flexibility is, and Chris, I know you'll speak to this as well, flexibility is going to be imperative in that, because if one organization is offering flexibility and another one isn't, they're going to have a huge competitive advantage from a talent standpoint. Now, again, that doesn't mean that people shouldn't be required to be in the office for critical meetings or on particular days when the whole team is going to be there and it makes sense for them to be intact. But I think they do need to be flexible. And I've seen many clients who have done various versions of, kind of looking at intact teams and really tasking them with saying, what's going to work for you, right? What do you need in order to maximize your collaboration and maximize everybody's productivity? And it's amazing. It turns out they really are fairly self-governing and come up with, kind of rules of engagement that work for them.
Chris, 85% of CEOs say that the pandemic has accelerated their digital transformation. I know that you've experienced that firsthand, and I'd like to know, what advice do you have for companies to help them leverage technology in a meaningful way, especially in a hybrid context?
What I heard Vanessa talk about was empowering employees, giving them the tools, flexibility, responsibility, as well as the accountability to be their best and deliver wow results. Technology can help them do just that. And over the last few years, we've seen how transformative this video conferencing and other collaborative tools have been. The best employees are taking advantage of these solutions and driving productivity and value to their work. And this is leading to greater efficiency in jobs, inspiring others, which is really important, and taking risks and experimenting on how effectively we can work as teams. What's critical is these tools are integrated and company culture and future culture in mind, especially with a mix of people working both in the office and remotely. Now, for example, there have been times that people aren't in the office and can be very productive outside of normal working hours, which is okay. There are times when remote workers can join a meeting, but don't want to turn on their cameras, and that can also be okay. What we should be thinking about is really the social norms that cause people not to want to turn on their cameras. What are those? Collaboration tools that allow people at home and in the office to work together simultaneously and are improving rapidly, So we should be building cultural norms about what should be and asking our technology providers to catch up, keep up, or deliver a better solution. We should all be thinking about ways to maximize technology. What technologies should do is make work and life better. And we should build the appropriate cultural norms in our organizations to create the best companies possible.
Vanessa, Chris touched on some interesting points about technology and culture. I'd like to delve a little bit more into that, specifically on culture and relationships. Now, over the past year and several months, relationships have been remote. People have not been working face to face. And as they return to the office, they will actually go through a bit of a reintegration, working beside one another, working face to face, working in an office together. So I'm wondering, what advice do you have for organizations to help their employees essentially reintegrate and rebuild relationships in a face-to-face, real person format?
Yeah. It's a great question. And for a lot of, anybody who was hired into an organization over these past 15 months or so, right, many of them have never met their colleagues face to face. So it's a real issue. And what I hear a lot of my clients talk about is the relationship between these face-to-face interactions and culture, right? And there's been a lot of discussion around how do we maintain culture in this world that we've been living in, which has been remote, and in a future world, which is going to be some sort of hybrid. And so I think the office and the idea of coming to work, I kind of say in quotes, really for many people, certainly in these early days, is really going to be around the cultural pieces and the relationship building pieces. The task-oriented, I'm working on a deliverable, we've learned that can be done from anywhere. The relationship piece, the kind of grounding in culture, the building of culture, the evolution of culture happens remotely as well, but really gets accelerated when you're face to face. So my recommendation, and what I hope happens in a lot of organizations, is that we almost turn our thinking, if not completely upside down, at least on the side, when we think about what does it mean to come to work and to come to the office. And I think what it's going to mean in these early days is really focusing on the relationship piece, right? Come to the office so that you can, have lunch with a bunch of people and just get reacquainted, right? Come to the office so you can, sit around a table and just get to know each other a little bit and have that interaction. And my hope and my recommendation is that organizations really double down on that piece, less so than, come to the office because you've got to grind out this deliverable. We know that can happen anywhere. So I think there's a real opportunity right now around come to the office to kind of get reacquainted, right, with people that you've known, or if you're new to the organization in the past year, right, you get to kind of meet your colleagues face to face. I think in these early days, casual is the way to go, particularly for those who may have some anxiety about, gosh, I'm more introverted. I've kind of liked working from home. And I think the more casual and informal it can be, the better it's going to be to help people reintegrate, and the better it's going to be to do its job of enhancing culture.
Chris, as the hybrid model takes a more defined form, I think that we'll see an increase in hiring. In fact, according to a McKinsey study, about 2/3 of companies during the pandemic switched their recruiting practices to a remote fashion. So as we increase the amount of hiring, companies will have to sort of juggle this mixture of what they were doing during the pandemic and what they want to do afterwards. And so I'd like to ask you, what advice do you have for companies to help them recruit effectively in a hybrid environment?
Well, we've seen over the past year that attracting and retaining transformative top talent is important and can be done remotely. Companies need to recruit leaders who are agile and resilient and tech savvy, as well as excellent communicators. Leaders who really listen to what their employees want and will need to be much better at building winning teams than those that just decide that it's still 2020. I want to reiterate the important role technology plays in recruitment. We've learned our own business that by using the right technology, it saves time, expense, and everybody really a lot of hassle. So we've become much more adept at recruiting and helping onboard leaders remotely. We always encourage our clients to be strategic in their thinking about attracting what I call top tested, outstanding performance talent. With every assignment we undertake, we always focus on 4 elements of fit: culture, team, performance, and leadership. So I think we need companies to continue the path. They need to think about how they are going to put both the hybrid model and use that as an advantage to actually win the best candidates.
Chris and Vanessa, this has really been a fascinating discussion. I hope that our viewers heed your advice and your wisdom. We look forward to sharing more insight and guidance with you very soon. Thank you so much for joining us.